The story for the Panthers game, as far as who wins the game, right? When you're a rebuilding team, whether the Panthers want to admit it or not, there's a lot of other storylines, but let's be real. When you watch a football game, you track the score, you know who's winning. As in who wins the game, the story of the Panthers game is, can you keep up with the Dolphins? And I'm talking specifically about the offensive skill positions for the Dolphins, who I've heard a few times them called the Legion of Vroom, which I find clever.
Vroom, vroom like a car?
Yeah.
Fast.
My 2-year-old son, whenever he has a Hot Wheels car in his hand, vroom, vroom, he's doing that all day. He also thinks if you open the doors on a little Hot Wheels that it can fly, but that's for another day. Legion of Vroom. It's Tyreek, it's Jalen Waddle, it's Raheem Mostert, it's Achane when healthy, although he's out on the IR right now with a knee injury. But they are, to put it in a very simple term, fast. To quote the Adam Sandler version of The Longest Yard, they're so fast, they make fast people look not fast. And then you mix, they traded for Chase Claypool, which is hilarious because Chase Claypool has now worn out his welcome at 2 different places and hasn't had a ton of production since his rookie year. Really, there was one game his rookie year where he caught 4 touchdowns. Other than that, there hasn't been much. But they were talking with Mike McDaniel, the head coach of the Dolphins, and they said, what did you see in Chase Claypool that made you want to make this move? And McDaniel looked at him and said, you want me to say it, don't you? Everybody kind of paused, like, what do you mean? He goes, he's fast. They just acquire speed, which means you have to match your speed with their speed whenever possible. Your secondary has to be prepared to deal with speed, which means giving bigger cushions, which means knowing where your help is, right? If you are a corner, you have to know when you have safety help over the top, because if you don't have safety help over the top, you better get on your horse to make sure they don't get behind you. Now, the problem is the secondary for the Carolina Panthers has been decimated by injuries. Jaycee Horn still out, not expected back for a while. Von Bell out with a quad, announced earlier today.
Yep.
That's their starting corner, their starting safety. Their other starting safety, Xavier Woods, out with a hammy.
He's been out.
Been out and could be out for a couple more weeks. Dante Jackson just getting back. So of your 4 traditional starting, like 2 corners, 2 safeties that started the season, 3 are out and 1 is coming off of an injury. Now, Dante Jackson, when healthy, he can fly too. He's a fast individual when healthy, but I'm not sure I want to be testing out all my injuries meanwhile keeping up with Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Raheem Mostert, and anyone else they can throw at you. Right? I'd like to start with the treadmill on 10, please, not 400. The really hard part about the Carolina defense facing the Dolphins is that they are maybe the best in the league at taking one small blip and ruining your day. It could be a mental or a physical blip, which both become more common with backups in there. Right? Let's just say that the backups that step in for those starters are better athletes. Right? Let's say they're better raw materials, right? Faster 40, more explosive, whatever. If they are just not on the same page for one play, for a beat, right? One's eyes go in the wrong direction, or thinks they have help when they don't, or thinks they should be helping when they shouldn't. That's all it takes for a 70-yard touchdown from the Dolphins. Tua will make you pay. He gets the ball to the right spot. At least he has over the last year and a half. But okay, now let's say the opposite is true, right? Your starters were your starters because they're the best athletes. They're the fastest. They're the strongest. They're hurt. You bring in somebody who could do everything right, but if they are just a step slow, 70-yard touchdown. Jalen Waddle waddling in the end zone. And I don't know what it is. Jalen Waddle's Penguin Waddle celebration, I don't know what it is about that. That signature celebration would upset me the most if I were a defensive back. It just seems too playful. It'd be like I'm trying I'm working my tail off over here to try to stop, and you're like playing a children's game. It would just seem frustrating. Well, we had a receiver on my college team that used to. It's either the Bewitched or the I Dream of Jeannie theme song. the da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, whatever that is. He used to just do that in the middle of games, and defensive backs would get so mad. Right, he'd be giggling and doing that weird thing, and then he would just run over and kind of get his hands on you for a block or try to run a route, and they'd get so mad because it's like, wait, we're trying hard over here, you're making a game out of it. That's what I feel when I see Waddle's touchdown dance. And if you are in the right position, doing the right thing, and just give up a 65-yard touchdown, boy, is that brutal. And then on top of that, right, let's go back to what we've seen from the Panthers, right? David Montgomery had a pretty big game against him. I've seen enough plays that would have been long touchdowns if it were Raheem Mostert instead of David Montgomery. And Montgomery still ran for, 3 touchdowns? Like there's a lot of, oh goodness, the last guy got him just by the shoelaces. It'll be just a 15-yard run. The announcer going, saved a touchdown with that one. If he didn't get him, there was no one behind it. Well, guess what? Tyreek Hill, one guy's not going to get him. We've seen it too many times. He's on pace for over 2,000 yards. So the challenge with the Carolina Panthers is not an easy one. It is your backups have to bat 1,000. Right? You're going to get beat physically occasionally. You're going to have to tip your cap, say, hey, that's good offense is beating good defense. Right? You have to tip your cap on those. But you can't afford to give up the plays where you do make that mental mistake. Jalen Waddle's going to score, or Tyreek's going to score, or Mostert or whoever is going to score even if you don't blow a coverage. You know what I mean? So if you blow a coverage, they're going to score twice. If you blow another coverage, they're going to score 3 times. Like it's you can't give them anything because they're going to take some. And every point you allow is another point you have to look at Bryce Young and say, hey, we need that. And I'm not sure he's ready to be in shootouts with that offense quite yet.
Yeah, they can't keep up with that.
It's going to be tough. That's not to say it's impossible. It's going to be tough. And also, you're going to see what kind of preparation somebody like Evero, their defensive coordinator, has top to bottom on the roster. Because you know who's getting the reps during the week. It's the starters, right? Mm-hmm. But as a coach, you can't ignore the backups, right? You still have to get them as many reps as you can while preparing the starters and make sure in meetings and in walkthroughs and everything, everyone's locked in and getting mental reps. We're going to see how well this defense will be prepared with those injuries. Because I'll say it like this. If you told me you were going to be out 3 starting defensive backs and I could pick any game on hey, you get one veto, right? Which team do you, when you're playing against them, do you want to ensure you're not going to have 3 defensive backs out? I probably would pick the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah.
They're probably the worst team in the NFL to face with a majority backup secondary. So that brings me to one of my favorite conversations. Play Jeremy Chin.
Yes, please and thank you.
He played 18 snaps last week. Play Jeremy Chin. Right? I'm fine. You want to say Von Bell and Xavier Woods deserve that playing time? Cool. Those are your starters. You brought them in to be your starters. Now that they're out, play Jeremy Chin. Even with Xavier Woods out last week, he still didn't play much.
No.
Play Jeremy Chin. I think he can help you out in this predicament you found yourself in.
By the way, Panthers are just limping into this one. Obviously, as you mentioned, Xavier Woods is out. Von Bell, as you mentioned, is out. Mm-hmm. Guys that are questionable as well. Ian Thomas, tight end with a calf injury. Stephen Sullivan, tight end, hip injury, also questionable. But Brian Burns and Derrick Brown listed as questionable, though Brian Burns was a full participant in practice today. But Derrick Brown was limited. He has a knee-ankle issue going on. So, I mean, 2 of your top guys up front as well. I mean, this is also Shaq Thompson not even playing either. So, yeah, this team is struggling going into this one. Oh, and Miles Sanders, starting running back, he's out with a shoulder injury.
And you bring up a really good point. The secondary, these backup guys, they're going to be looking to Brian Burns in that defensive front and saying, we might be able to give you 2.5 seconds of coverage.
Maybe.
Get there in 2,
yeah.
Right? Just to be safe. help me help you.
Yeah.
Right? I can cover if you get there fast. So, and what, Teron Armstead for the Dolphins, one of their offensive linemen, one of their studs, he is out, and I think he's going to be out for a little while at least. So, hey, we got backups in the secondary. They got backups on the offensive line. Brian Burns, now would be a great day to have a 3-sack day and get Tua knocked off his timing a little bit.